Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. Now for today's video, I wanted to talk about what happened to the few remaining wild raptors that were left on Isla Nublar in 1993. So, to catch everybody up to speed, if you didn't know already, there were actually more Velociraptors living on the island in the first movie that we never really got to see on screen in Jurassic Park. We do get evidence of their existence in the same film, and supplementary material has indeed confirmed their roles in canon. But in truth, the first film doesn't really give us a good look at any of the raptors that managed to survive the events of the first movie. This is because the dinosaurs that got away in the original Jurassic Park were not yet fully grown. By the end of the original film, all three of the remaining raptors were pretty clearly disposed of. Timmy and Lex locked one inside of the kitchen freezer, and the Tyrannosaurus Rex made short work of the other two during the movie's climax. But what happened to the other ones that lived in the wild? Well, their fate isn't exactly too much better, to say the least. During the second half of Jurassic Park, Grant and the kids come across a dinosaur nest that was made in the wild. Here we can plainly see the two-toed footprints of infant animals walking up and out of the area, along with a few littering eggshells. Now, as far as in-canon material is concerned, these footprints belong to the offspring of the park's Velociraptors. Sometime during their stay on Isla Nublar, it's implied that at least one of the raptors changed its sex from female to male in order to reproduce. And this clutch of wild raptor offspring is the clear result of that change. The evidence that reveals this information to fans can be found on the canon website called the Dinosaur Protection Group, where it's shown that Dr. Henry Wu and a team of InGen workers went back to the island in 1994. And it's here where they found out that the animals had been breeding on Nublar. Now, unfortunately, every ounce of legitimate evidence that we have so far in the Jurassic Park canon tells us that these infant animals did not last long in the wild. In fact, during that 1994 expedition, Dr. Wu and his team were only able to tell that the dinosaurs had been breeding because they'd found several carcasses of young raptors that sadly did not survive. Curiously, while doing their tallies on which animals lived and which animals died off on the island, the raptor population isn't actually listed at 0. Instead, Jurassic Park's survey team marked the animal's population down as unknown, which means that as far as the InGen team was concerned, it very well could be possible for more of these creatures to be living somewhere undetected on the island in the wild. Of course, no hard evidence has ever come out to support that these animals lived past 1993. Most of the dinosaurs on the island were already dying off just 1 year after the events of the first movie. And even the ones that managed to survive for quite some time on Isla Nublar wound up getting recaptured in truly terrible condition. The park's resident Tyrannosaur, for example, was found in 2002 with mild malnutrition and a bad case of ragged tooth. This means that any infant raptor's survival on the island for more than a year is very unlikely. However, I do think that it's important for us to consider the possibility that not all of the animals may have died right away. In early promotional material for Jurassic World, we did factually get a poster with a wild Velociraptor standing on top of the destroyed Ford Explorer that we got to see in the first movie. And even in that promotional material, it came complete with a small clutch of eggs hidden away in the wreckage. This concept would of course ultimately get used for Blue's Nest and Fallen Kingdom though, so I think it's safe to say that any speculation on this particular piece of art needs to be taken with a grain of salt. As far as other raptors go that weren't necessarily born in the wild, like say the baby dinosaur that Grant and the others saw hatch with Dr. Wu, I have a very hard time believing that any of them survived either. Infant animals like that probably couldn't last too long without human guidance and care on the island. And let's not forget that the power went out earlier in the film. Needless to say, that could probably be pretty detrimental to a baby at that early stage of life. And once everyone evacuated the place, well, I don't think it would really take too long for those small animals to die. I do want to ask you all for your opinions on this though, because without a clear-cut answer being given as to whether or not any really survived, well, we don't really know what happened to all of the infant raptors on the island. Their population has always been marked as unknown, which means it's literally up in the air at this point in time. I personally don't really believe any would survive for too long once tourism began on Nublar. I think if any remaining JP Raptors were out and about in the jungles of that island during the theme park's full peak in popularity, Hoskins and his boys would probably make short work of them before they hurt anybody. Now, as always, this video wouldn't be possible without the support of my awesome game wardens, as well as all of my InGen executives. I'd also like to thank all of my park workers and InGen hunters as well. Their continued support has really been a lot of help to me when making this stuff, and I never want them to ever forget it. So a big thank you to each and every one of you for watching this video. If you feel like I deserve it, I'd appreciate the like and hope you'll consider subscribing if you're interested in hearing from me again. See you on the next one, guys, and as always, take it easy.